Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're going to conclude our study of the Epistle of Jude today by just reviewing the important things that we've learned. Something that I've hinted at, but that I haven't emphasized, is that the letter was written at all. Let's notice that. Maybe I should have led with that, several days ago. There is a time to stand up. Jude, and this is so instructive for me too. Jude said, I wanted to talk to you about our mutual salvation, but I couldn't because this has arisen and now I have to address it. As a preacher, that what I want to talk about on Sunday is our mutual salvation. I want to talk about our salvation. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to have to go to the mattresses in any way. I mean, you know, um, um, you just house cleaning and house maintenance is never the enjoyable thing to do. We want to enjoy our homes and enjoy our families in our homes, but to weed the dandelions out of the front yard, that's not what you choose to do. And yet there are times when you have to say something. You have to stand up. You have to, like Gandalf, stand on the bridge of Khazad Dûm and say, you are not going to pass. We're not going to budge. We're going to deal with this. And so James is doing that here. And that in itself is an enormous lesson for us. Now, his method in addressing the false teaching that is springing up is also instructive because he did two things when he's addressing the false teaching and the bad influences directly. The first is to assert the truth and to remind us that we know the truth and that it has been delivered to us once for all, and that nobody has to tinker with it. That we know what it is, and so we should also know what it isn't. He didn't try to start a debate club where he could take apart, their notions. What he did was assert what is true and say, if it ain't this, then it's got to go. And then he said, this is what these guys look like. If you want to know what a false teacher looks like, or the result of the influence of false teaching looks like, I'm going to tell you. And he does in verses 5 through 16. He gives them biblical examples. He gives them examples from nature. He gives them examples from popular literature. And then, in addition, he just comes right out and enumerates using nouns and adjectives to say, this is what these guys do. This is what you'll do if you follow them. And he talked about moral laxity and licentiousness. He talked about greed. He talked about flattery, betrayal. He talked about emptiness, arrogance, disrespect. He talked about lack of observance of just basic Christian living. He talked about all those things. And he said, as Jesus said to the apostles, or to all of us in the Sermon on the Mount, by their fruits you shall know them. And he taught us how to be fruit inspectors, how to recognize from looking at the fruit of something what the source is. And then he reminded us again who we are. And he did talk about our mutual salvation. And then talk to us in two short verses that contain an encyclopedia's worth of information if we just will think about it and use the words to give us greater direction in reading the rest of Scripture. Taught us how to deal with people who are wandering away off into the wrong directions. And he told us one size does not fit all. And it's not enough just for you to say, you're wrong, you're going to hell. In fact, he didn't say that at all. He said it generally in the letter because he talked about judgment over and over again and the consequences of rejecting truth. But he talked about loving people, and some of them you have to have an intervention with, and some of them, you just have to get in there right now and love them more than they're being loved away. And for some others, it's going to be a project and it's going to take a while, but you got to have the patience and not leave their lives. because it might take them a minute to get the unclean garment off that they're wearing. It's so instructive to us. This insistence that we be thoughtful, loving, sensitive, nuanced in our approach to people who are being led astray by false teaching. And then he brings them all back to the place he wanted us to be at the very beginning, which is a place where we are family together, expressing our awe of God's greatness and our gratitude for God's grace. It's a wonderful letter. And as I said before, almost every session, it is of the moment, and it will always be of the moment. So, anyway, thank you so much for sticking with me for this study. What we're going to study next time, we're going to go back to the book of Psalms. We're going to look at Psalms who are Psalms not written by either David nor Asaph nor Anonymous. Okay? There aren't that many. So, well, it won't be a long study, and I'll talk about that and introduce that study next time. Thank you so much for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.